I happened to go to St. Petersburg a few years ago. And St. Petersburg, as you know, is a city built as a statement. It's architecture that says Russia is European, that Russia is not Asian, etc. It was a pejorative, negative way of looking at it for Peter the Great. But he wanted Europe to believe that Russia was part of it. And so on the banks of the Neva, he built this magnificent city that takes all kinds of architectural examples from all over the world and packs them into this one city. So in St. Petersburg, there is Florence. In St. Petersburg, there is Rome, there is London. And the reason I'm telling you this story is that when I went there, I went to see a building called the Kazansky Cathedral. And the Kazansky Cathedral is a fascinating copy of St. Peter's in Rome. And it's blackened now. It's as if it's not been cleaned for a long time. And you can see on the walls of it shell holes and bullet holes from the Second World War when St. Petersburg was surrounded by, actually the Germans were holding it and it was surrounded by Russians. No, it's the other way around, sorry. And in Kazansky Cathedral, by the way, I'm not extremely religious, but somehow all my good stories have a lot to do with cathedrals. And when I was in the cathedral, looking around, I saw this little sort of prayer, little sort of altar off to the side. And it had a flag of Russia when the Emperor Alexander was the emperor in 1812. And the person was showing me around had not known how fascinated I was by that campaign. And she told me that that little altar is where General Kutuzov prayed for victory over Napoleon before they then burnt the whole city down. And they burnt it down because they did not want their prize, their glittering jewel, in the hands of their enemy. And I thought, how amazing that it continues to stand, that these little old Russian women come to it and give devotions and put their candles up. It is the single remaining tangible thread between something that happened in 1812 and something people do today. It is architecture. It is building. So I think of you, as I said, as people who are able to direct our attention, our confidence, our sense of possibility outward. And Kenya needs you sorely. Some of the remarks I've heard paint a somewhat sad picture of the state of architecture in Kenya. I have no such feeling because I feel that your profession, much like every other profession, has been part of the growth, destruction, challenge, resurgence of Kenya. And so to me, if Kenya indeed is going to cement itself as a country that believes that it is full of possibility and that it is going somewhere, that will become apparent from what you, ladies and gentlemen, do. If you don't do it, it will be the visible sign that what we are saying is merely a rhetorical exercise. Therefore, I wish you the best in that. And I wish you the best in that because if I don't, I will not be wishing it on my own country. To finish with a much more present issue, I am Kenya's permanent representative to the UN in Nairobi, and one of my jobs is representing Kenya at UN Habitat. In other words, representing Kenyan interests around the global debate on urbanization and the standards of urbanization. And right now, we're in a process in which the new global agenda around urbanization and human habitation and how it should be designed and the standards it should speak to, its priorities, is in the throes of decision making. Right now, there are people meeting all over the world trying to say, we think that the next 20 years of the urbanization story should look like this or like that. Unfortunately, the loudest voices are the voices that somehow suggest that in the next 20 years, urbanization should make us look like Copenhagen, a wonderful, lovely city. But Nairobi will never be Copenhagen because we have other things to be, which is ourselves. And so I urge you to engage in this debate. If you go online and look at Habitat, UN Habitat, you will see the coming series of large debates that are going to occur. And at the very heart of this is an attempt to create what we're calling a new African urban agenda. And that agenda, at the heart of it, is trying to say our standards must be competitive and world-class, but at the same time recognizing that we too have something to contribute to the world. I don't know what that is in architectural terms, but you know. We cannot always be recipients of received wisdom. We cannot always be recipients of standards set elsewhere. We ourselves must have the confidence to understand that we too are here, and that our experience is unique, and that there's something about that uniqueness that can be drawn out and given and presented as a gift to the world. This is what I believe I do in the Kenyan government. This is what I believe our new government is about. It's a trend that has been growing and slowly accelerating. There's nothing new about it. It is Kenya at last coming to say, we're here, we're building, we're designing, we're struggling, but we're doing it because we believe we have a magnificent future that will look like us. And if you, ladies and gentlemen, do not allow it to look like us, our energy, our hopes, our desire for independence will become nothing but a copy of someone else's dreams. So I urge you and encourage you to engage in the debate on global standards, and also to continue seeking out excellence and to continue participating, like your chairman said. With those few words, I think I've spoken longer than I wanted to. Again, let me thank you all for honoring me by listening to me, thanking the AAK chair and the AAK board for seeing it fit to allow me to come here and share a few thoughts with you. Thank you.